Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today's video, we are talking running back threes with RB1 upside. So very exciting video. Some guys that you're going to be able to get significantly cheaper and have them potentially have the qualities to have a big season and blow up. So looking at these two players we're going to talk about today compared to guys last year. So two guys that did it last year, James Conner and Leonard Fournette. They did it in very different ways. Conner, of course, 18 touchdowns, a monster inside the 5. So if you can find a guy that is going to get, the crux of the work inside the 5-yard line, inside the red zone on the ground, that is someone that can blow up like James Conner did last year. The other one with Fournette. Fournette led the NFL in receptions for a running back, so receiving upside has to be there. It doesn't necessarily have to. James Conner did chip in as well, but it can either be a guy who can score a ton of touchdowns or a guy who can contribute on both sides with a lot of receptions. Combined with Leonard Fournette had 10 touchdowns of his own, so he had a good year all around. So those are kind of the formulas that we're looking at with these two guys. If you guys enjoy this type of video, if you guys are enjoying the content from us, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20,000 subs before the start of the NFL season. So if you're circling back on this video,
subscribe.
From previous videos, just hit the sub button. That would be greatly appreciated. Let's get to these two guys. Should be
two
quick.
guys within the same division too. So kind of going into each other here. But I'll go first because I don't necessarily agree with Tyler's pick.
Yes.
So you'll have to wait for that one.
I don't necessarily agree with your pick.
There we go. Okay. Perfect. That's the best. So my guy is Damien Harris. Right now, he's in RB3 territory. He's RB27, going around the middle of the 6th round right now. And it's proven, we've seen it in the past, running backs in the New England Patriots system in the final year of their contract get a lot of touches. They get a lot of touches because obviously they want to be able to do something with them after, either re-sign them. I don't know what they want to do.
Yeah, LeGarrette Blount comes
to mind, of course.
How many touchdowns? I think he scored 17 touchdowns that one year. Yeah. He was a top 12 running back. Ridiculous.
This could be your James Conner this year. Damien Harris, his touchdowns were one of the reasons why he actually finished as the RB14 last year, so just outside of RB1 territory. Finished second in touches inside the 10, just behind Jonathan Taylor. And he, like I said, made those carries count with 15 touchdowns. He's actually PFF's highest graded rusher over the last 2 seasons, Damien Harris. Definitely one of the Alabama running backs that's really panned out. We've seen some of them not pan out, a.k.a. Trent Richardson. But getting drafted where he is now, I really don't get how he's not going earlier in drafts. I don't know if it's the Ramondre Stevenson effect. Is that the reason why people are scared? Because Damien Harris, you take away those touchdowns, obviously he's going to fall down a little bit. He only had about 200 carries last year, so he didn't even have over 1,000 yards rushing. But I think this year they'll implement the running game a little bit more. I know Mac Jones has another year under his belt, but to me, the only way Damien Harris doesn't find his way inside of RB1 territory at this point is probably Ramondre Stevenson either taking goal line carries or just taking carries and snaps away from him in general. So I'm really high on Damien Harris this year. I think he'll have a good year in this Patriots system.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of people wishing that Ramondre Stevenson, considering he's going, a few rounds later, you're wishing that he takes over a bit. I saw there was a Twitter account that said Ramondre Stevenson was working with the ones, and this is, if you guys want to try to get into the game of bringing news to fantasy, like people who play fantasy football or just bringing news in general, this guy just basically 4 tweets before that one, he had a few other Patriots related tweets, and then if you actually did your due diligence and scrolled, he tweeted the most ridiculous shit that didn't make. That was just pure comedy. He was just trolling. So people believe a lot of things. Ramondre Stevenson is a thing people want to see. I don't see it happening though in camp. And if we see Bill running the football again this year, it looks like Damien Harris is going to be the number 1 option. And like we said, James Conner, that's your script for doing it. And Damien Harris could technically, it's within outcomes because you scored 15 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think he's been a very viable fantasy option over the last 2 seasons, and I think now into his 3rd year, I guess it would be 4th year, maybe
4th year.
Then I think the world's his oyster at this point. So
yes, nice. But the thing is with Harris is he is going to be. I don't think he's going to be boom or bust because he's being drafted. What feels like a floor that he can easily meet. But he's got to score to make it happen. Yeah. He's got to score to meet that. So, my guy is completely different realm. We're taking the Leonard Fournette side of things. I didn't want to be in on Chase Edmonds, but now I'm finding myself in on Chase Edmonds, which is early on. Obviously, Ryan talked a lot about Edmonds and not being someone he was a fan of. Right now, he's going at the end of the 8th round. He's the running back 36. He's going around Rashad Penny. Who else was behind? There were guys around him that I don't think have the James Cook was there. There's a few others off the top of my head.
I'd rather have Edmonds than James Cook. I don't know about Penny necessarily. Who knows what
there's a lot of
unknown in that backfield, but
yeah, there's a lot of different thought process with Penny and Kenneth Walker. You can kind of feel whatever way you'd like about the two of them. But Edmonds to me has tons of receiving upside in that offense. He was on pace for 60 receptions last year, which would have put him in 4th at the position. Obviously, he missed a few games because of injury. 5 games he would have missed because of injury. So he had 43 receptions on the year. So that's the exciting part to me is the reception side of things in this offense with Tua Tagovailoa. It looks like they're going to be, at least from training camp, a lot of talk of a lot of check down work from him to the backs, and Chase Edmonds is certainly going to be the beneficiary of that. The other thing I like is he was surprisingly efficient last year. He was 5.1 yards per carry. A lot of his touches came against a light box, which is to be, I guess, to be expected when you have the DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and then obviously the rushing ability of Kyler Murray can spread defenses out. But there's another chance that he has that same type of opportunity here because Miami can certainly spread teams out with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to go to. He was 11th in breakaway run rate at 6%, so that's good to see. He can break some big plays. And then he was actually 9th in true yards per carry at 4.7 yards. So true yards per carry takes away any of those big breakaway runs that can kind of send a guy's yards per carry to like an extremely high level. This is more down to down what to expect from him. So he was actually pretty efficient. The big concern, elephant in the room, is can he get the touches inside the 5, inside the 20, and give me some touchdowns, which he didn't do last year. He had 5 touches inside the 5, turned that into 1 touchdown. We know what James Conner did. I believe he had 18 touches inside the 5 and turned that into 10 touchdowns. That's the type of shit you want to see. That's the type of shit that I think Damien Harris could do. I'm skeptical about whether or not Chase Edmonds can do it, but if he can give me a few touchdowns inside the 5 combined with the receiving upside and scoring, outside of those inside the 20 times because he can break away some big plays, I'm excited about him. And then Mike McDaniel handpicking this guy, signing him as a free agent, bringing him in. One thing that really stuck out, I was in the old Sports Info Solutions machine. Yes, yeah. Sports Info Solutions, I do have a subscription to. He was actually, so the 49ers ran a zone blocking scheme, the 6th highest rate in the NFL last year, and Chase Edmonds and zone blocking rush attempts was 1st in expected points added per play and 1st in yards per attempt under it. So that's a good sign.
That's a deep dive.
That's like him picking him out, seeing these kinds of efficiency numbers and picking him out. So the competition is Sony Michel. Sony Michel is someone I'm going to draft this year at the end of my drafts because he's the guy that could score the touchdowns and take those away from him. So I'm still investing in Sony Michel. But Chase Edmonds is someone I'm not afraid to take because I think there's a realistic path where he has a huge season and really far exceeds this ADP and finishes as an RB1.
Yeah, I mean, there's just for the one big thing, obviously, like you mentioned, is touchdowns. Like it has to be. Yep. He's never really scored a lot of touchdowns. Never really given the opportunity. Like I think he's always kind of found himself in a backfield where there is that bigger guy that they're going to use in the red zone, which they have this year with Sonny Michel and even Raheem Mostert, depending on kind of what his
Mostert hasn't even practiced yet.
Yeah, so exactly what
I'm kind of starting to feel like I'm not going to touch him.
Yeah,
I'd love to see him be healthy because I think he's a great player. But
the second thing is has there been a Dolphins running back to finish as an RB1 under Flores? Or I can't even think of the last time.
Flores isn't there.
Or not Flores now, I guess. But has there been an RB1 within the Dolphins organization other than maybe Jay Ajayi?
That's what I was going to say. Yes, Jay Ajayi.
So
they've been going between Myles Gaskin and
well, that's what I mean. It just seems like they haven't really. So maybe if they find this guy to be their RB1, sure. I think his ADP right now is right.
I think it's appropriate.
It's appropriate. I don't see his upside being RB1 personally. I've also just never really been a fan of Chase Edmonds. He's burned me a lot in times where I've had him as a spot starter. And it's just the relationship between me and Chase just isn't there. The chemistry's not there. So I will be sticking to my guns with Damien Harris, but I could see your reasoning. That The fact that like McDaniels is the newer guys and younger guys are quite analytical, so I feel like I feel like he actually probably thought the exact same thing.
You know, we could just let's build out a little SWOT analysis. Let's just get in the lab on a SWOT analysis on him.
There we go.
I think that would help you paint a picture.
Do the squares, the 4 squares. Let's do it.
I like Chase Edmonds, man. There's a few guys I was considering here. I haven't really touched on Chase Edmonds. I was looking at AJ Dillon, who I love, was probably be a guy I think can do what Damien Harris can do this year. Who are some other guys that you thought about for this?
I was thinking about Devin Singletary, but the fact that James Cook is going to be like, there's definitely no clear-cut number 1 guy there right now. I wasn't super high on James Cook even after they drafted him because I felt like they just drafted him because they needed a receiving back, but it seems like he's actually going to be implemented quite heavily into this offense now.
Singletary could do what Fournette did.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, again, the Bucs were a really high volume passing offense. I think the Bills will be the same, but Fournette managed to get involved in the receiving game, score touchdowns inside the 5. Now that helps when you have Tom Brady inside the 5 as opposed to Josh Allen stealing touchdowns.
Exactly. But maybe they don't. Maybe they're like, Josh, you know what? We need you. We're not putting you in there.
Stay safe, brother.
Yeah,
stay
safe.
Some more guys that we were considering, but we're going to get into tomorrow on some wide receivers that we think. We're going to go all the way back to wide receiver 4s that we think can explode for wide receiver 1 season. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. Again, circle back. Come back to these videos. Circle back to OwnersBox, man. Come back to us. Let us know what you think of these guys. Let us know who you guys like in this kind of territory that could blow up like James Conner and Leonard Fournette did last season. We're love to hear from you. Love to hear from you in our Discord as well. That link is down below in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.